Hi, I'm Tim Austin, the Director of vLearning. In this video, I'll be discussing our approach to visual learning, the opportunities that exist for Papua New Guinea, and in particular, our approach to implementing a visual learning strategy at the Buimo Correctional Facility. The video will cover the following topics: why there's a need for this project in Papua New Guinea, how we go about delivering visual education, the learning pathways students can undertake, the objectives of the project, and I'll wrap it up by giving you a short overview of our background. Okay, so let's start by looking at why visual learning is important as a strategy for education in Papua New Guinea. The primary objective of the visual learning project is to provide all community members in Papua New Guinea with the opportunity to plan and embark on a learning pathway that best suits their individual needs and aspirations. I stress this doesn't have to be a formal education structure. For many people, including inmates within buimo, it may start with a simple process of visualizing their goals and putting steps in place to achieve these goals. Ultimately, this may lead to a qualification. However, that doesn't necessarily have to be the outcome. As you know, the internet has the potential to provide an enormous amount of information and resources to the community. Literally anything you'd want to know or study is available in some form on the internet. However, there are a number of significant barriers that are stopping people in Papua New Guinea taking full advantage of taking part in this renaissance in global education. The biggest hurdle is that much of the information is text-based and may be in a foreign language. This is prohibitive for many in the community with lower literacy levels. Also, many people are missing out on the opportunity to learn as they lack self-belief and confidence to engage with educational programs using technology. They don't fully recognise their own potential and need assistance in planning a learning pathway. A big issue for Papua New Guinea is that the vast majority of learning resources reflect completely different cultures. This not only leads to confusion, ultimately there's a very real threat to the cultural identity of Papua New Guinea if local culture is not represented in the learning materials being used. To take this a step further, much of the learning material is not in context with local circumstances. For example, the operations of a business in London is very different to running a business in a small community in Papua New Guinea. Community members won't embrace the learning if it doesn't have local relevance and context for them. So how do we address these barriers? Firstly, the visual learning process takes global information, then visualizes and localizes the information so it's relevant for the community. Essentially, we convert text-based information into visuals. We also provide programs in goal setting so that community members with little or no literacy can confidently plan a basic learning pathway. Having a sense of purpose and a clear visual map of aspirations empowers the individual and provides hope. This is a process that can be very useful for inmates at buimo. We then train key advocates in the local community to deliver our visual programs and to develop their own visual learning material. This provides local context and relevance while protecting the cultural identity of local communities. We have processes for analysing local needs, say for example the learning needs for inmates in buimo. Then in consultation with community members, we develop customised visual information specifically addressing the local needs. This empowers the local communities by giving them full control over the communication process, and even provides the opportunity to develop their own learning resources, showcasing local culture and sharing this with the global community. Okay, so we've just had a look at why visual learning is important to Papua New Guinea. Now let's take a look at how we implement visual learning programs. At vLearning, we mentor and provide support to learners. However, mentoring is a bit hit and miss unless a personal, on-the-ground relationship exists. With this in mind, we mentor and train a local person to act as an advocate to deliver our programs. We provide daily support, training, and visual learning materials for the advocate to utilise when delivering learning programs. The mentoring system reflects current research on best practice learning design and has highly refined processes, ensuring both advocates and learners receive consistent support and visual resources in a structured manner. The mentor's role is to provide professional development to the advocates. This includes training and visual resources that the advocates can use to communicate with the learners who they interact with every day. The advocates can communicate with learners online. They can conduct facilitated training sessions on site, and perhaps the most valuable role for the advocate is to have informal conversations with learners using supplementary visual material on a range of important issues such as health and well-being. With the support, training and resources from the mentor, an advocate can then support learners by teaching soft skills such as planning and goal setting, and hard skills such as learning to use a computer. So how does this process relate to buimo? We train a local advocate to deliver ongoing visual learning programs to inmates at the facility in buimo. We then produce ongoing visual resources and programs to reflect the needs of the prison population. The advocate has constant advice and support from the mentor as the process is implemented. The system will expand further into the community. Advocates will provide professional development on visual learning to educators in schools. This is of critical importance as educators will then support students with low literacy in visually setting goals and visualising their aspirations while in the education system. This will lead them away from a criminal path and give them more opportunity to contribute to the local community. The advocate model has been very successful with institutions we've worked with. Now that we've seen how that works, we'll briefly take a closer look at the educational content we can put through the pipeline. We can produce visual learning materials across all key areas to support learners. We can deliver simple information informally, such as a single image, graphic or short animation. This can then lead to a more formal education structure, including topics, lectures, units, subjects, and full courses. For example, we may provide a simple message on maternal health using a single visual image. Or we could do a full topic that visually shows the negotiation process or how the legal system works. For inmates in buimo, the message and course will be designed based on a needs analysis. Educational programs, justifiably, concentrate on the attributes a learner will have after they've been through an educational program. This is just part of the picture though. We also need to concentrate on building the confidence to learn and encouraging learners to look at the opportunities that will come from their education. The first question I tend to ask any student is, what's your reason for undertaking education? This allows them to start their own personal planning process. We need to build confidence and commitment to learning through the process of goal setting. The process I take students through for goal setting is to firstly set objectives, then plan knowledge accumulation, map pathways, set timeframes, and document their learning pathway. Throughout the goal-setting process, it's important to highlight the links between their aspirations and the learning they will undertake. The whole process of goal-setting can be done visually and is designed to build confidence that they can be part of a learning pathway even if their literacy levels are very low. The next stage in the learning pathways model is for the students themselves to map out in advance the skills and attributes they'd like to gain from more formal workshops, lectures or courses. This can give them a sense of ownership and it helps contextualize why the learning is important. I explain to students how to map the practical skills they need, the personal skills required, the interpersonal skills required, the qualifications they'd like to have, and then ask them how they would document all of this in a visual portfolio that showcases their skills. This is an opportunity to highlight that education is not just about a qualification, it's about developing life skills that help them in the community. I then explain to students that they need to look beyond the educational process and develop skills that open up opportunities and enhance their chances of success. The skills that open up opportunities in their local communities may be things such as creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, communication, or leadership. Most learning institutions only focus on skills and abilities leading to a qualification and hopefully an employment outcome. In my opinion, this is narrow in focus and doesn't set the students up for success. By providing resources, guidance and support for goal setting and embedding creativity, innovation and entrepreneurship as foundation knowledge across all learning, we're supporting students before, during and after they undertake courses. Whether they choose to be employed, build their own business or have a personal goal, they'll have the confidence and attributes to create their own opportunities. Understand this is just as applicable for an inmate in buimo as it is for a mainstream student. For example, an inmate may firstly set a goal that they will one day have a leadership role in their local community. They'll then plan a learning pathway that gives them skills on how to negotiate, mediate, and implement initiatives in governance. Combined with leadership and strategic skills, they'll be able to implement a plan to achieve their goals. Importantly, this whole process can be visually based. There's no reliance on literacy to undertake this type of process. Okay, so obviously the main objective is to provide opportunity for people from all literacy levels. That goes without saying. How we do this is of real importance. The first objective is to put the program in place as rapidly as possible. The second objective is to ensure local community members have the skills to develop their own visual learning material reflecting the needs of the community. This is why the advocates model is so important. Initially, we'll start by mentoring one advocate. They'll then go and deliver visual learning programs to groups on a regular basis. Within those groups, we'll select more people to become advocates as well. They'll then deliver visual learning programs to even more groups. Out of these groups, even more advocates will be selected, and so on. So with this model, we'll start in lay and build a network of advocates that provide visually based learning throughout Papua New Guinea. Hopefully that provides a broad overview as to what we're setting up and how we're going to implement this. I'd like to just finish up with some background info on V-learning. There are 3 points in time that are relevant to our journey. It all started in 1967. Mani was born in Morobe province in Papua New Guinea, and I was born in Tasmania, Australia. The thing that's significant about this is that although our places of birth and experiences as kids are vastly different, we both learnt in one way, and that's visually. Jumping forward to 1992, we both found ourselves as students at Swinburne University in Melbourne. Mani in design, and I was studying animation. This is where we formed a close friendship and started to discuss the possibilities of visual learning and how it could be really helpful for those who didn't have the confidence to start their own educational journey. 25 years later, with the experience of producing countless visual education programs, we aim to support the community in Papua New Guinea using the research, experiences, the designs, processes, and the passion we have for visual learning. Mani and myself both turn 50 in a couple of months, so our experiences of being visual learners and creating a visual learning philosophy have spanned nearly half a century. The downside to that is it's kind of making me feel a bit old. But the positive side is we both strongly believe that now's the time to share those experiences and knowledge with everyone in Papua New Guinea and collaborate with like-minded people to make a difference. Thanks for taking the time to go through this presentation with me. I'll look forward to seeing you soon in lay.